49ers have just beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 23-20 in a very ugly win, but since week 1, it's the first time being over 500 and having a winning record. Who would have thought? But make no mistake, despite this win, the 49ers are unraveling quickly, and something needs to change. The leaders on the team need to step up. Before we even get to the bad, let's talk about the good. This week, Christian McCaffrey was back on the field, had over 100 all-purpose yards with receiving and also with rushing. Rushing, he was stopped. It looked like he'd have a few holds at the beginning, but the Bucs, they ended up, making adjustments and stopped his run game. He had 13 carries for 39 yards, but in the receiving game, he made a difference. He had 6 catches, 68 yards, one beautiful deep pass from Brock Purdy off the back foot, which beat a blitz, a blown coverage blitz, and he hit McCaffrey in stride and was able to make a very big play. So Christian McCaffrey was back. Ricky Pearsall had his first NFL touchdown after being drafted and getting shot and not knowing if he was going to even live, but now made a huge play. And those are the things we should be celebrating. Instead, we are here having to talk about how the 49ers are unraveling even despite this win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have a depleted offense because they don't have Chris Godwin or Mike Evans due to injury. But still, it came down to the wire. Now, yes, the Chiefs had to go to overtime to beat the Bucs, but the 49ers should have had this game in the bag, and there were multiple things to look at. Devondre Campbell, multiple missed tackles. Brock Purdy started off the game just being off of his game. He was behind. He was sailing throws, and we can mark that up to the bye week. Nick Bosa's lack of effort on that 4th and 7, where he should have brought down Baker Mayfield, but for whatever reason, the guy making over $30 million a year didn't have the effort to finish that play. Jake Moody and special teams. Jake Moody missed 3 field goals. You had a muff punt, and ultimately, the 49ers could not pick up the blitz, and those things just kept on showing their head over and over and over again. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. If you don't have things in place to prevent those from happening, you're going to get exposed each and every week. The NFL stands for not for long, and it doesn't matter how good you are. Everybody has superstars on their team, and you need to step up. And so let's talk about why are the 49ers unraveling? Why that statement after a win? Well, if you look at how they won the game, there was so much frustration that happened, and I think you could look no further than what happened with Deebo Samuel and Tabor Pepper and Jake Moody. Deebo Samuel, who should be a leader on the team, who's making over $25 million a year, you can see goes for the throw of Tabor Pepper and then see slapping Jake Moody alongside the head. Yes, Deebo made a big play on that specific series. But so as the leader of the team, you're the one who should be there lifting up the special teams. And if you need to address something in the locker room, that's where you do it. You don't do that on the field showing your internal frustration. That is not the sign of a leader. That if you need to go to them, say, hey, we need you to make that, that's fine. But as soon as you put your hand on them, physically touch them in an emotional way, you are letting your team down. You should be the emotional leader in that locker room. You should be the emotional leader on that sideline. When your special team has their head down, when their confidence level is kind of rocky, you should be there to reassure them instead of making that boat even rockier. Now, well, who would have thunk that Jake Moody would be the one who ended up winning the game? So I'll be very curious to see how that interaction went afterward. Oh, sorry for saying some stuff about you and hitting you upside your head. I should be thanking you because you won us the game. But ultimately, what needs to happen here, if the 49ers are going to right this ship, because right now they're unraveling. Despite the win, they are unraveling internally, and this is not going to end well. So you need guys like George Kittle, who's been showing out all year, to step up. You need Fred Warner to step up. You need Brock Purdy to step up, and they need to nip that thing in the bud. They're the ones that need to go to Deebo Samuel and say, that's not going to happen here. And so we don't get the privilege of being able to go to the locker room to hear those conversations happening afterward. But that can't happen because we should be here talking about how Christian McCaffrey came back and he seems to be healthy still. Yes, he's got to knock off some rust, but he still had over 100 yards combined with receiving and rushing. How he's not hurting and he's going to be back even for next week against the Seahawks, which is going to be a big divisional game. We should be talking about Ricky Pearsall and how he had his first touchdown. How Brock Purdy was 25 of 36 for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and was still able to show out. We should be talking about those things. But instead, we're here talking about how the 49ers are unraveling because of immaturity, because of somebody who should be a leader on the team taking swipes at his own teammate. That's what we're here talking about. And hopefully the 49ers can turn this thing around. Again, you have missed tackles on the defense. You had Nick Bosa showing a lack of effort. Fred Warner, you need to get on Bosa. Yes, it's the fourth quarter. Yes, they've been moving the ball down the field. Yes, there were penalty after penalty after penalty. But Nick Bosa, you're the one who's making $30+ million a year. You're the one who should be the leader by default. But instead, right there, we're questioning your effort. Why aren't you finishing the play? The whistle wasn't blown. Yeah, who cares if you end up getting a flag? At least effort wasn't being questioned. Then you have the muff punt. Special teams is always a blunder here. You had 3 missed field goals. Then you have the muff punt. The gunner on the side, get out of the way of returner. That wasn't Jacob Cowing's fault. But what needs to happen is there's obviously more coaching. They did not fix their special team woes during the bye week. Now, Jake Moody, you have a lot of 49ers fans calling for him to be cut. I'm not there yet. In fact, even with his 3 missed field goals, he's still ranked 13 out of all kickers in the NFL. Last year, he was in the top 10. Now, where are you going to get somebody that can produce more? Well, what about Andres Carlson? That's going to be the argument. Well, he can't kick to the end zone on kickoffs. You need that. With how bad the 49ers special teams are at their kickoff return coverage, you need somebody who can kick it through the end zone to have your defense start off at the 30 and not have to worry about them returning that kick to the end zone. And so you need him there, but you also need him to make field goals. So he definitely needs to improve. He's recovering from a high ankle sprain, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there, but he needs to improve. He made the last field goal that counted, and that's what Kyle Shanahan said at the end of the game. You're only as good as your last kick. And he made it, and that one was under even more pressure than the previous ones, and he made it when it counted. You're only as good as your last kick. So based on that statement, I don't see him going anywhere because he made the one that counted, but he's probably going to be on a short leash. And so, as he should be, and the rest of the special teams and the rest of the team, because you are 5-4, you have one of the biggest salary payouts for the year. Yes, they've made adjustments to where they have about 50 to 60 million salary cap, but that's all for carryover. But you have multiple superstars that are getting paid big bucks. You need to start producing. And at 5-4, yes, they got a winning record, first winning record since week 1. But the reality is they are unraveling, and this can only be fixed from the inside. And leaders have to step up. That means Fred Warner, you need to step up. George Kittle, Brock Purdy, you need to step up. But George Kittle, I'm looking at you. You're producing on the field. You're the fun guy, but you need to get in Debo's face and tell him that can't happen. What you did cannot happen, and we should be celebrating the good things, but instead we're having to deal with this internal strife and putting hands on each other, and we need to get that taken care of. And that needs to be taken care of before playing Seattle at Levi Stadium this upcoming week, because you need all hands on deck. You need to start stacking wins, because it's going to start getting tough here when you got tougher teams coming into town. You look at the schedule, you have the Seahawks on the 17th, you have at the Packers, at the Bills. And so you have a very tough schedule these next 3 weeks. And so you need to take care of business against the Seahawks and then hopefully come out healthy in time to play Green Bay in Green Bay on November 24th. So a lot of things to learn from this game. Thank the Lord they got the victory, but you got to deal with that internal stuff. That way you can come back next week and start stacking wins. And honestly, getting this team battle tested to make a run in the playoffs. There's still time to turn this thing around. There's still time to build up those wounds, build up those scars. That way you're battle tested for when the playoffs come. It's not over yet. They're unraveling, but you can stop the unraveling, stop the bleeding, and get these things taken care of for a deep run for the second half of the season. Well, that's all we got. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you next time.